Good morning, everyone. We'll wait for a few more minutes. If there are no questions, then maybe we'll start today's session with understanding what's the roadmap to the Gen AI course. Since you all showed interest in Gen AI and Agentic AI, we'll understand the roadmap to the Gen AI, and then we'll understand what's Gen AI and what's the difference between Gen AI and Agentic AI. But before that, can someone tell me what's the full form for GPT in ChatGPT? We all use ChatGPT, right? For one or the other task, we'll keep using it. But what's the full form of GPT?
Generative pre-trained transformer.
Yes. So there are multiple words there, like generative, pre-trained, and transformers. What do you? Why do you think they named it that way? What's a transformer? Um, how are transformers build? Like they are built using neural networks. So neural networks is a concept that we learn in deep learning. So that's the reason why we are focusing more on from the basics of data science. So we are not directly jumping into generative AI course.
Hello, Sriram.
Yes,
Yeah, hi, Vamsi this side.
I am see.
Yeah, I'm having 5 years of experience in the data engineering.
Okay.
What are the topics will be getting in relaxation? What I can skip the part. Like,
Uh, so data engineering is a complete different field. Like, have you got experience in machine learning and deep learning?
no. Only data engineering. I have expertise in Python, SQL, and do we use a SQL? I'm actually new to this session.
Uh-huh.
Yesterday I haven't there in the session.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have only 2 to 3 questions. And how much percentage of hike we can expect by learning Gen AI and this course? And what are the advantages of learning this? As a data engineer, could you please explain me?
Yeah. So as a data engineer, I think you got some experience in Python and SQL, right? So
Yeah.
Python and SQL are the first two modules that we are going to have in our course.
Okay.
So since there are people who are starting everything from scratch, I am taking everything from scratch itself, so like Python basics, SQL basics, and then I'm jumping into machine learning and deep learning topics.
Okay. Python and SQL I can skip. And Michelle, I have gone through your curriculum actually.
Mhm.
Yeah. And how much hike we can expect?
Like, what's the salary that you are receiving now?
I have 14 LPA.
14 LPA, right? So, which organization are you working in?
That's a three-tier company, K Square Group. It's a startup in India.
Okay. So right now, if you open Naukri, you will see all the companies are searching for a Gen AI or LLM, right?
Yeah.
So with 14 LPA package, you can easily expect at least a 50% hike in your salary. You'll be somewhere around 18 to 20. If you are having 5 years of experience and then if you perform well in the interview, you can easily ask for 50% minimum.
Mm.
So you'll be reaching somewhere 18 to 20 easily.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there any other question that I missed answering?
No. That's the thing. And I'm okay with the curriculum. I'll reach the we are generative AI team. Okay, I have meeting now. I'm leaving.
Okay. Anyone else got any questions? So basically, these transformers, I was explaining regarding this, right? So the transformers is a core neural network architecture which completely powers the whole model, right? So basically, these transformers came in way back in 2017 itself. So there's a paper called as "Attention is All You Need." So that's when they started talking about architectures, and then people started using this transformer. So natural language processing is the main topic that they try to cover using this transformers. So what's this natural language processing? Any idea? NLP? Have you heard of this natural language processing? So basically, the name itself says natural language processing, which means the machine tries to understand what we naturally speak or what we naturally say, right? So given a text, the machine will try to understand what's the sentiment behind it, the sentiment analysis. Or if you want to generate some text, if you're speaking something, right, sound to text, the voice to text conversion, and all these are some parts of NLP. We'll also be learning. Yeah, thanks, man. Uh, can you skip the first 6 slides, man? Can you go down, scroll down? Still. 12th, yeah, 13th slide, man. So NLP is also an important part in the whole process of learning. So what's our course? Like, what's our path? We'll be starting with introduction to Gen AI. So what's Gen AI? That I'll be talking about it in this session. After which we'll go into what's machine learning. Of course, we'll cover Python and SQL. So that's the basic thing that we need to understand when we are starting the course. So we'll understand that Python and SQL. So once we are good with Python and SQL, then we'll jump into machine learning. So there are multiple models. There is supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Have you known what's supervised and unsupervised? What's the meaning of supervised learning and unsupervised learning? Anyone? So in machine learning, the whole concepts are divided into supervised and unsupervised learning in machine learning. So basically, supervised learning is we are saying, given some data, we are saying that this will be the output that you can expect, right? So all the predictions happen in supervised learning, and in unsupervised learning, we just give the data to the model, and we say you find out what's what. Right? We are not giving any labels, right? So label data, when we're talking about the labeled data, it's supervised learning, and when we're talking about unlabeled data, it's unsupervised learning. So we'll try to understand it in a much clearer way. We'll take some examples when we reach that point. So, but this is the basic understanding. So label data, then if you're having a label data, then it's supervised learning. If you're having unlabeled data, then it's unsupervised learning. And also there's something called as classification and clustering. There are multiple models that we have, regression models, right? K-nearest neighbors, KNN, logistic regression. So there are uh, so the main concept of understanding and learning this machine learning is not to write the code. So whatever concepts we'll be learning, say I'm talking about regression for 2 sessions or 5 sessions, like for you all to understand. That doesn't mean there is a lot of code that we are going to write for regression topic, right? The code itself is just some 5 to 10 lines of code that you write. But the main reason for learning theory for a long time, or how much ever time we spend, is to understand, like, if this is the question, that if this is the problem that I'm trying to deal, which model should I apply in machine learning, right? Coding part is just 5 to 10% of it, right? 90% of the learning is for us to understand which model should I need to use for the given problem. So that's the main reason that we have to learn all the topics, all the important topics that we are having in machine learning. And then we'll go into deep learning, where we'll be talking more about some neural networks, artificial neural networks, RNNs and all. And then we'll go to introduction to generative AI. Then we'll talk about large language models. So LLMs are a big boom now. So are on a boom now. If you're searching for any job in Naukri, you search for data scientist, then you'll also find data scientist with Gen AI and LLM knowledge, right? So LLMs are very big, are a very big topic now. So what is Gen AI? Anyone can give a just a summary or one sentence answer for what's Gen AI? So as you can see on the screen, generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence focused on creating new content that resembles the data it was trained on, right? So what do they mean by type of AI? What other types of AI is there? Right, having robots, physical robots doing some work for us. So that's one type of AI, right? So we can see the robot physically, like we can touch it. But Gen AI is something that happens in the code. Like the code is running behind and something happens behind which gives us the output. Right. So basically generative AI will generate some new content for us. Like it was trained on a huge amount of data and with having many parameters. So it can generate text, can generate images, audio, video, and even code. Right. Google, we have sorry for that. So we can even generate code. When I was saying yesterday, people who just learned coding, like say someone says I know Python, so Python is booming now, and I know Python. I can write lines of code, 100,000 lines of code in 2 days. So such people who only knows coding, their jobs are at risk because Gen AI can also generate code. Right? There is something called as Copilot. If you go and search for it, this Copilot will be able to provide us the code. Like we need to ask what's the what's the problem that I'm trying to solve, and you ask the right question. Like the main key in using the chat GPT is asking the right prompt, having the right prompt, which means asking the right question. So if your question is clear, the answer will also be clear. Right. So I'll say I want some code to uh, understand what's the area of a square. So the ChatGPT or the Copilot will be giving us the code to find out what's the area of a square. It's that easy. So we don't have to write the code, and we can just utilize ChatGPT or this Gen AI, which is already there. There is some knowledge and some intelligence to it already, so we'll be able to use it and then write the code. So we'll not. So after this course, we'll not just be using ChatGPT. I'm not going to teach you how to use ChatGPT, how to ask the right questions. We'll be building something which is as close as ChatGPT, right? The only problem for us in building something as big as ChatGPT is the computation power, right? I'll be teaching in a laptop, and you all will be learning it in a laptop, right? So for training the model, so we'll be needing huge amounts of data and huge computation power. We'll be needing very big GPUs for which we will not be having access to, right? Many companies invested a lot in training the models using multiple GPUs and huge amounts of data. Since we lack in huge amounts of data and huge computation power, we'll be building something. We'll be building chatbots which are as close as ChatGPT. If those models were trained using huge data and using high computation power, then they'll be as good as ChatGPT. So Gen AI examples you can see there. So if you give a text saying, I want a picture of a person having coffee on a bench in the park right in front of an ocean. So you give this text to ChatGPT, it will generate an image for you. Like how is it able to do it? So it will break down the whole text into different contexts. I want a picture of a person holding a mug, right? So this image gets generated first, and then sitting on a bench gets generated. So it will take the person and make him sit on the bench. So it has huge amounts of data for what's a mug, how is a person, how is a person while standing, how is a person while sitting, how does it look when he sits on a table, how does a park look, how does a river look, how does a lake look. So everything it will understand. It has already understood all this since it's already pre-trained, right? So that's the reason the name itself has generative pre-trained transformer, GPT. So it's already trained on all these things. So it understands whatever we are saying, and then it can generate the image for us. So writing articles, poems, music in specific style. So you've all already heard how does it sound when Modi ji sings, right? There are some people who misused or used it for fun. So they take a song and they also take the speeches that were given by Modi ji, right, our prime minister. So they've used his voice and they put it in the song, right? So this there is also uh, a slight misuse of the power of Gen AI, right? Can we go to the next slide now? Yeah. So you see here, artificial intelligence is one a very big circle. It involves techniques that equip computers to emulate human behavior, enabling them to learn, make decisions, recognize patterns, and solve complex problems in a manner akin to human intelligence. So basically, AI is something which is trying to mimic a human, right? Whatever we are doing, however the decisions we are taking, so we are asking the system to do it the similar way, right? It may not be like getting up and switching on the light. Yeah, so that's a physical task. So that AI is completely different. Like it involves robotics, creating a robot, doing that, or it involves something in the IoT. Like you create some machine, right? There'll be some equipment for IoT, which you'll attach with the dashboard, and then you write the code, and it will pass the signals and the fan gets switched on or off. So even that includes some part of intelligence. So AI is one bigger circle where we are saying that I am building something which mimics what I am doing. Like we are not going into the details there. So what what is AI made up of? Then comes inner circle machine learning. So machine learning is a subset of AI which uses advanced algorithms to detect patterns in large data sets, which allows machine to learn and adapt. So when I spoke about ML, I talked about supervised or unsupervised learning methods, right? So machine learning is a subset of AI. So using machine learning, we'll be training the models, right? This is where the models will learn. And then comes the deep learning. So deep learning is another subset of machine learning, which uses neural networks. So why do we need neural networks? Neural networks is important because in GPT, the T stands for transformers, and these transformers are a neural networks architecture. So the name itself, neural networks, says us that we are trying to build something which is similar to our neurons in our head, right? What do our neurons do? They pass signal. They store information. They pass signal. So they are interlinked. So we are trying to build something of that sort. That's the reason why we are able to think, right? So something happened in the past, you are able to recollect it because the data is already stored in our neurons, and we are passing the signals saying that okay, I want what happened on 15th of March, like last birthday, what was I wearing? So when you think such things, you are passing the signals and you are stimulating the neurons in finding out the answer. So similar concept is applied in the machine itself for it to understand, remember, and store. So DL is a subset of machine learning which uses neural networks for in-depth data processing and analytical tasks. DL leverages multiple layers of artificial neural networks to extract high-level features from raw input data, simulating the way human brains perceive and understand the world. So since everything that happens in our mind is by neurons, we are trying to build a replica of such neurons in system. So since they are interlinked, we are calling it as a network, and we are trying to build something like our neurons. We call it as neural networks. So neural network is a important topic in deep learning. On top of which we will be learning what's LLM, what's transformer. So LLM uses transformers. Like what are transformers? How are they built? What's the architecture? And then comes the generative AI, which is all in a subset of deep learning, where we'll be using the neural networks and transformers in creating text, in generating text. So basically, generative AI helps us in generating something. Generating a text, generating image or code. What's the input? Based on that, it will be generating some output. So they're already trained on vast data sets. These models detect patterns and create outputs without explicit instructions. So here also you'll be seeing a mix of supervised and unsupervised learning, right? So all these topics, machine learning, deep learning, LLMs, NLP, so all these are interlinked. So we can't skip any part of the modules that we've mentioned in the course and directly jump into Gen AI. So you need to understand the basics of machine learning and then deep learning and then go into generative AI. Next slide now. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's talk about some history of Gen AI models. So Gen AI is nothing. Uh, so Gen AI is new, but the model and the concepts that run behind this are not. RNNs, recurrent neural networks, which already came in the year 1986. Right, since 1986, we have these concepts, but people started using it in a different way in 2017, where they built transformers. So using transformer, we've got GPT, ChatGPT 3 in 2020, right? So this we are discussing and talking using text, right? So language is an important thing in the using when we are using transformers. So let's come into images. So when we are talking about images, we are talking about convolutional neural networks. So that's the CNN. So CNN is a topic which is already there in 1986. On top of which, in 2014, they created something called as GANs. So GANs are adversarial networks where they started using transformers in GANs and latent diffusion in the year 2020, and they built something called as DALL or stable diffusion. So you can read about these two as well. So this deals with the images. So since we don't usually work on images in day in and day out, and we only focus on text, that's the reason why we only know ChatGPT more than DALL-E or Stable Diffusion. So can you go to the next slide now? So here's what it looks like. You give some data, which is in the form of text, image, speech, structured data or 3D signals, and train the model. So foundation model is like depending on the task, we'll be using machine learning models or deep learning models or a mix of both, right? And then the model tries to understand and what all tasks it can perform is answering the questions, sentiment analysis. Say I'll go to Amazon and I'll read a review. So I should be able to say if the person is happy with the product or not. And there is information extraction. You give some 100 pages of data, text to the model. It will be able to extract the information from there and give a summary of the whole 100 pages. So image captioning, you give an image, the code will be able to say what's happening in the image. And object recognition, it's very important when we are talking about automated driving cars, right? So it needs to understand what is the object that's in front of it. Is it a car? Is it a bike? Is it a pedestrian who's crossing the road? Is it a tree? Is it a signal? If it's a signal, what signal is it? Is it red or green? So all this is object recognition and instruction following. So whatever instructions we give, it should be able to navigate and follow. So that's the tasks that it can perform once we build the model. Next slide, ma'am. So yeah. So what are the different types of generative AI models that are already there? We have GANs, generative adversarial networks, and then we have transformer-based models, and we have diffusion models for images. And there are VAs, variational autoencoders, unimodal models, multimodal models, LLMs, and neural radiance fields. So there are multiple topics that we can cover when we are talking about Gen AI. Right? We'll be touching most of the topics in our course, in our module, whatever we've planned, we'll be touching most of these things. Next slide, ma'am. Right. So where all can we use this Gen AI? Say I'm in healthcare field. How can I use Gen AI? So medical image synthesis for diagnostics, drug discovery and development, personalized medicine and treatment plans. Okay. when we talk about this examples, drug discovery and development, right? This one example excites me a lot. It's very interesting. I want you all to understand and think why COVID became a very dangerous disease for us. Anyone got any idea? Like it's been there for 2 years for us and almost killed many people, right? Why do you think it's that dangerous? What happened? Uh, why isn't like any other disease, and why we couldn't find a a drug or a medicine for this? So it's a very interesting study. If you are interested, you can just go in a search and try to understand why it became very dangerous. So basically, when we develop some drug, right, or discovering some drug or developing some drug, what they usually do is they take the DNA of the disease and then they try to induce a medicine that will break the DNA. So once the DNA is broken, the disease fades away from our body. So that's how the tablets work. When we take in a tablet, the molecules or whatever is there in the tablets, they will go into the DNA of the disease and then they'll try to break the DNA. But with COVID, what happened is the DNA of the disease was changing continuously. So if you look at the videos or some images of how does DNA looks and how the medicine goes and sit in between the DNA, it tries to mix with the DNA. And once it's inside the DNA, it will start breaking it. What happened with COVID was the DNA of the disease was changing constantly. So once we are trying to find a medicine with one particular type of DNA, the medicine is going and fitting itself somewhere in the DNA, but the direction or the structure of the DNA was getting changed. So that's the reason why it was very dangerous and it was very difficult for people to find a medicine for it. Right, so this happens. So in medicine field, we look at the DNA in an image and we try to put in another image of our medicine inside this DNA. So all this happens by imagining. Like they create some images and then they try to solve it. So that we can do using Genai. Like we can generate images, medical image synthesis. So all this can be done there. And how does it help in finance and trading? So algorithmic trading strategies. Which stock should I invest in? Your predictive market analysis. So you'll try to predict how is this market going to be? Is it going up or is it going down? And high frequency trading algorithms. So even if you're not interested in working for an organization, you want to earn the money on your own, you want to become self-employed person, you can go and train your model on the data that's there for the stock market since ages. Train your model properly, and then it will be able to suggest saying that okay, this market is going to go high today, and then you invest your amount for this day. And then when you know this is going high and this is the peak point after which it starts falling, you then sell your stock. So but in the meanwhile you would have earned some amount, good amount. So that's how you can utilize your generative AI, machine learning, deep learning skills and predict the stock values. Content creation and natural language processing. Again, natural language processing, we are using it. Text generation for content creation. Using ChatGPT, if you ask a question, it will give you an answer. If you ask for an image, it will give you an image. The sentiment analysis. Again, say you're working in Amazon and you're trying to find out what are the fraud products that we're selling on Amazon. So you try to remove it. So how can we do that? You can understand only by from the comments or the reviews from the users. Users who have bought it would have given reviews, right? So you take out those reviews and you try to analyze it. So there's not be one person who is sitting and looking at the product reviews, right? So we create a model which will take out the reviews of all the products and find out if this product is having a good review or bad reviews. Most of the reviews are bad, then they will remove that product from the Amazon. And most of the reviews are good, they will keep it on. Next slide, ma'am. So that's an intro about generative AI. So let's talk about agentic AI. So agentic AI focuses on creating autonomous AI systems or the agents that can perceive their environment, set goals, make decisions, and take actions to achieve these goals with minimal or no human intervention. Right? So for generative AI, we are saying I want to create something, I want to do something. But the agentic AI is something which will be having the power to perform those tasks, right? Take decisions with or without human intervention. So self-driving cars, which navigates the roads without any human intervention or minimal human intervention. AI assistants that can autonomously manage your calendar and emails. So I built an agentic AI model. It will be able to schedule the meetings. Like I have multiple meetings in my calendar, it will be able to schedule the meetings and manage them. Robots in manufacturing that can identify and fix problems on their own. Right? In manufacturing companies, you see robots, huge machines working on something. Like if one nut or bolt is not present, the process will not stop. So that intelligence is given to the machines where they'll be able to go find the problem where the problem is and then fix it. Cyber security systems that can proactively detect and respond to threats. Right, cyber security. Trust me, cyber security is going to be a very huge problem. I think we all heard the news where how many of you saw Mission Impossible, the latest one? So when you look at the movie, you try to understand that the main villain in the movie is none other than this AI, right? There's a power given to one of the submarines, and that's the code that's running inside. Right? So this code, since it has learned so much, it tries to fool the people and that tries to fight against the mankind. And hero tries to save this code by breaking it. Right? So cyber security is a very important and a very dangerous threat that's coming to us in our near future. Once people are very much used to this AI stuff, things may go out of control if not used properly. Can you go to 22nd slide now? 22nd. Yeah. So Gen AI can write a recipe, which is creating a content, while agentic AI can autonomously follow the recipe to cook a meal. So taking actions. Gen AI will create us the content, whereas agentic AI will be taking the actions. It's like Gen AI will provide us the recipe for preparing Maggie, where agentic AI will be making the Maggie and giving it to us. So it will be able to completely mimic humans, like what's the decisions we take. So it all generate AI, agentic AI will be able to perform all such actions, whereas generative AI will be creating the content. So that's the main difference. You see in the brackets I mentioned, Gen AI is creating the content and agentic AI is taking the actions. Next slide, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. So these are the basic differences that we've spoken till now. So it's a summary of what we've spoken. Yeah, ma'am, 23rd. So what are the applications of agentic AI? You can use it in autonomous vehicles and robotics and healthcare innovation. Oh, we talked about COVID, right? COVID drug. discovery, and then finance, trading, logistics and supply chain management, smart homes and IoT. So Internet of Things. So you can use your agentic AI knowledge even in IoT and marketing and customer experience. So any field you take, wherever there is data, there can be a data scientist. And wherever there is a data scientist, they can use the data and build multiple models and end up with some agentic AI, which can easy makes their life easy. Next slide, ma'am. So here's the median salary of GenAI professionals across job roles in India. So if you become a generative AI developer, your salary will be somewhere around 24 lakhs. But the expectations from the organizations will also be so huge that you should be able to meet them, right? So generative AI developer is a very big role for which you will be needing a lot of understanding in machine learning, deep learning, and whatever other modules that we listed out in our module curriculum. Oh, and then comes the generative AI engineer, whose salary will be around 13 to 14 lakhs. Generative AI scientist, again the same. LLM engineer, where you mainly focus only on LLMs, large language models, right? Your salary is going to be somewhere around 14 lakhs, 13 lakhs. And generative AI architect, you're going to start from 12 lakhs. So these are just the median salaries uh, in the industry right now. But depending on your experience and the way you deal and the way you portray yourself in the interviews. So basically, interview is nothing but you're selling yourself, saying, I know this, I can do this. This is what I am. For this kind of work, I'll be expecting this much amount of salary. So you should be confident enough to sell yourself, saying that, okay, I deserve 20 lakhs for the role that you're saying. Right? The market is like that. So it's basically you're building that confidence in yourself by learning all these topics, saying that you ask me the question, I'll give you the answer. So if you are that confident, you can go ahead and ask for huge amounts of salaries, right? Next slide, man. Any questions? So we got 8 minutes, so let's spend it on answering any questions.
In this training, do we cover any kind of certifications as such?
At the end of the course, we'll be giving the certification.
Certification from the institute side, right?
Yeah.
Not about that. Any formal certification from IBM side or anything as such we can attend and clear with your
Yeah, you'll
guidance.
be. Sorry. So once you're done with the course, like I'm talking about machine learning, say for the next 1 month. So once I finish this machine learning course, you'll be able to easily go and take the exams for IBM certified. You can become an IBM certified machine learning engineer, right? So that will add to your resume.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely you'll be able to crack those exams.
Okay.
So if there are no more questions, then we'll see you in the sessions. Should you choose to join this course, but trust me, it will not be any one-way traffic. You like right now, you guys are silent, but in the course, I expect you all to speak up, ask the questions, answer the questions that I'm asking, and try to solve others' problems as well. So you might not face the problem, or you may not get that error today, but in future, if you face, you'll be ready to answer them, solve them, right? So try to open up as much as possible and speak up, and you'll also be needing to give some presentations on how you filled some assignment, how you've done it, right? So it's going to be an exciting course. With that, i'll I would like to end the sessions today. So thanks everyone, thanks for joining. Hope I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.